Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Series A, Dhamma Talk number 34. Today's topic is Tranquility, Passaddhi. We are talking about this heading under the major title of Seven Factors of Enlightenment. And in the seven factors of enlightenment, we have treated already the first four. First one is Sati, mindfulness. And second is Dhamma, Vijaya, investigation of Dhamma. And the third is effort or energy, Viriya. And the fourth is Piti, rapture, or pleasurable interest. And in here we are dealing under the topics of Bujjhanga Dhamma, Seven Factors of Enlightenment, which means people who are practicing this are in advanced stage or even a noble person, but definitely in the higher state of jnana. And the main thing in here is to balance, to balance your state of meditation. When you're really low and down and slow, then you practice a certain factors to subdue that slowness and then keeping up into the balanced state. And also if one is getting too excited, too enthusiastic, too elated, to subdue that excitement and bring it back to the balanced state. That is the main thing that seven factors of enlightenment is used for. Of course, out of that seven, the first one is Sati. Sati is, we all know, never enough. Sati is supposed to be, one must be mindful of every moment. Every moment. If one can be mindful of every moment, then that person is undoubtedly an enlightened person, to be able to be mindful every moment. And the first three we have talked, which is investigation of Dhamma, effort and energy, and then rapture. These three we talk in details. Whenever one is really low and down, or bored, or lazy, or sluggish, not wanting to do meditation and so on, or depressive mode, the low mode. And in those states, one practice one of those three, whichever is suitable, whichever one is very skillful of. By investigating of Dhamma, your depressed mind will be raised. By applying more effort, your depressed or slow mind or shrunken mind will be uplifted. And by practicing rapture, producing rapture or pleasurable interest, your sluggish mind, your boring mind, your lazy mind will become uplifted again and bring about to the balanced state. So that is what it is used for, To be able to bring that up, that means one must be very skillful. One must be able to bring these up, okay, within a very short period of time. Only then one can be able to reach it. And if you cannot bring these up, developed, or bring that into that state, it won't have much effect. That's why a yogi must have been in a very higher states of jnana or insight, or being a noble person, okay, other than the arahat, the highest state. Satipatthana, Sakadagami, Anagami, they also have their periods of low and down mode, because we are still in this realms of nama and rupa, due to physical, mostly physical, and in the lower state, even mental state. The bombardment of the environment, 8 loka dhamma, attacks of the 8 loka dhamma, can always disbalance you. So one must be able to bring about these in a short period of time. But even if not in a higher state, there are certain things out of the 3, Dhamma Vichaya. Dhamma Vichaya is you have to be experiencing the true nature. That's not that easy. And also developing piti, rapture. And there too, for a Vipassana practitioner, that one must be able to skillfully develop the 4th insight level, which is arising and passing away. Some of you have and some you haven't. So it is not that practical. But regardless, if you are not in a high state, one thing, effort and energy. That effort and energy, you don't need to be in a higher stage, even at the lower state. All that you need is the determination, desire to balance your mind, and the determination, never surrender, persistent. With that, you can still reach. So there's still one of the factors can be applied or used by the yogis who are in the lower state of jnana. So it is not at all wasted once you understand it and apply whatever is accessible and close to you. Of course, the last one, rapture, we discussed last week. There's a bit of a Pali words. We placed it, or we misplaced it due to forgetfulness. And in here, there are 2 types of rapture. One is rapture that applies to, so to speak, anything and everything, okay, other than sambojjhanga. Okay. So there are all PTs that applies to fall under that, except that there is the PT sambojjhanga. Rapture that can be called enlightenment factor. That is totally different. And here, when you are low and down, one can apply that by contemplating on the qualities of Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and also on the parents and teachers. These qualifies to become PT, that qualifies as sambojjhanga for the progress of Dhamma. Of course, the PT that you can raise through the Udayapiya Jnana, insight level of a arising and passing away. That also is PT sambojjhanga, enlightenment factor. But You must be aware you are in a low and down state. If you are in a low and down state, you are not at that continuous movement of arising and passing away. So even though it amounts for Sambojjhanga, you cannot apply that because you are out of it. That is the reason you are using other tools. Qualities of Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, teachers and parents. So keep that in awareness. And kinds of piti. Kinds of piti, there are 5 kinds. Khuddaka piti. It is the minor, the lowest form of piti. And then secondly is Khanika piti. It is a little bit longer in duration than the first one, and also frequency of arising, it becomes more frequent. The details we have already discussed on the last talk. And the third one is Okantika piti. This Okantika is, we termed it wave rider, as if you are riding a wave, really rolling high up and go down, up and down. That is the key. Of course, there are many things you can describe in detail, but the key point is like as if you are riding a wave, surfing. And then Upekkha piti, that is directly related to the weightlessness. And it can describe in many different ways. The key thing is weightlessness, which means there is no pressure point at all, both physically and mentally. Upekkha piti. And the fifth one is Prana piti. And here, that so settled, extremely pleasurable vibration, it pervades every part of your body, every cell of your body, it sinks into it, and also every mental states that are at that moment. Prana piti. So those are the 5 kind of pitis. One may experience one or the other, but whichever one is, it will uplift you and it will get you out of the depressive and low mode of your meditation period. So as we have said, the first 3 is good for uplifting your mind. And there are other 3 called passaddhi, tranquility. That will be if one is very elated, over enthusiastic. In those times, you go into that mode. When you go into that mode, it will bring you down and it will bring it to the balanced mode, passaddhi, tranquility. And in passaddhi, or English tranquility, what it is, to understand what tranquility is, or passaddhi is, one must understand its opposite nature. Its opposite nature, we have already discussed it at the beginner's level. Kokucha, dukkhacha, nivarana. Restlessness and worry, or restlessness and remorse. One needs to understand what is restlessness and remorse or worry. Of course, at the beginner levels, we give example about what restlessness and remorse is. It is a state of mind in which the mind cannot grasp on a single object. It cannot even grasp any object at that moment. It hovers. In other words, there's a space between the awareness and the object. They don't come into direct contact. It just skittishly go away from one to the other. That is restlessness and remorse. Usually restlessness, even though it's not described in here, related with future, uncertainty about future. Okay. As you're not quite sure about what's going to come, whether what you want to happen can be accomplished or gained, so on. And remorse is about the past. Whatever you have done in the past, whatever you have done wrong in the past, catch up with you in your psyche. So I will approach that way. Restlessness is more related to the future events, and remorses or worry is more related to the events of the past. So in here, we understand quite clearly. But one thing we need to understand is, yes, when you're at the beginner level, all the example and the talk we have given is more than sufficient. It's very good, we understand. But one thing is, you are not stopping. You're meditating and you're meditating and you're progressing and you're progressing. Your mindfulness becomes stronger, your concentration becomes stronger. And whenever you become stronger, restlessness doesn't disappear. The thing is, they become finer and finer and finer. Before, restlessness is very gross. It can be identified with events and situation and condition and things like that. But when you have a very good meditation, still there is restlessness. It's very fine. Even in the Ariya level, only at the highest level, and when you got there, that restlessness is abandoned. Satipatthana, you still have restlessness. Sakadagami, you still have restlessness. Even in Anagami, you still have restlessness. But of course, not at the level, not with the definition we understand. It's so subtle. The higher, the deeper you go in, does restlessness become finer and finer and finer. So don't go me directly, but the words in here, like in meditation nowadays, they are experimenting with machines to a lot of the yogis who are great meditators. And then they measured when they are in a certain state of meditation or in a jhanic absorption meditation, and also mindfulness meditator, they measure it. And in there, you will see there's a certain measurable, physiologically measurable brain wave, a wave that's connected to the brains are measured. And at a certain level, the certain brain waves are shut out or flatline. Another level, another brain wave are shut off or flatline. The deeper and deeper and deeper, a certain brain wave become flatline or shut off. But still, there are certain, even in a deep state of meditation, a certain brain wave are still vibrating. That's what I mean by restlessness become finer and finer and finer. Of course, the other one is physiologically, we define it. But in here, the deeper you go, there's still restlessness. What it is the mind, the flickering mind. Even though you are in a great deep meditation, okay, let's use that example that we know. Okay, you go and meditate the first 3 to 7 days. Most of the thought that comes in are the events that has been recently happening within a week or 2 or 3 weeks. These kind of events bombard you in your thought form. Okay. After a week, and then let's say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, events that happen about a month ago, a few months ago, within a year, these kind of things, they are not really in your very front line, but at the same time, you have not forgotten it. These kind of thoughts come in. And then of course you note thinking. And these little thoughts coming in, that is restlessness. Okay? That is restlessness. A certain part of the brain starting to work for that, not the deeper one. Those thoughts come in, there's a restlessness. And to complete what we are talking about, you keep on meditating 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, hardly any thoughts come in. All these immediate, all the within a year thoughts, they disappear and you are, so to speak, in a free-floating, free-sailing mode. Very peaceful, great. And then, out of the blue, there's a thought pops up. Something that you have done 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. You have already forgotten about it, totally, completely forgotten about it. But that thing pops up. That is restlessness. But it is very deep in the psyche, it pops up. So restlessness is always there with us. You have to, only when you become arhat, then you have abandoned total and complete restlessness. Even in the lower area level, you still have that. So, as such, one needs to understand restlessness. And also, of course, remorse. As we have started out the front, restlessness is more of a future and remorse is more of a past. Things that are, thing is, would I be able to do it? Would I be able to overcome it? Would I become an Arya before I die in this life? These kind of like very fine thoughts, nothing hurtful, nothing harmful, but still, do I have enough capacity to do it? Do I have enough parami from the past to do it? These kind of little doubts pops up now and then. That is the expression of restlessness and remorse. Determination, something you have to do with determination, persistent. And at the same time, whatever that comes, accept, as it is. Now we know what is restless and remorse in a very different, various level, and that even to the deepest part of our psyche. Once you understand restless and remorse, then you understand passaddhi, tranquility. Tranquility, passaddhi. What is tranquility or passaddhi? It is the cool, calm mind. Very cool, very calm, very tranquil mind. That is passaddhi. In other words, a mind that is far away from restlessness, a mind that is far away from remorse, or no restlessness and remorse come in. At least for a period of time. Don't think that it will stay with you for a long time. You're meditating, and then at one sitting, poof, you go into that mode. And you might be in there for about 40 minutes, 50 minutes, sometime 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, depending depending on the level. Extremely peaceful, extremely calm. In the scripture, this is expressed with the example is a lake. There's water. When it is a lake, there is no inflow and outflow of water. And also there is no wind, no breeze, nothing. It's totally calm. So the lake is totally still and calm. The water surfaces. That kind of situation, we call it tranquility. As soon as even the very slightest amount of wind blows or the breeze come in, there's a slight ripple coming. And as soon as there's a ripple, the wave comes and there's no more tranquility. So that is the example it used. The breeze are these minds of thoughts, of objects. The mind's going from one object to the other, another object, or one object that comes in disappear, and another object a little later comes in, still it is agitating you. So that is tranquility, very calm, very cool, away from restlessness and remorse. That is passaddhi, very peaceful. It can be brought about, usually, not only it can, usually it is brought about by rupture, depending on the type of rupture. Okay. You have the rupture, and after the rupture subsides, tranquility or that peace comes in. One of the examples some of you might have experienced, and especially for the Vipassana meditator, especially who are practicing this Satipatthana Vipassana, because we focus a lot on pain, dukkha. We focus on dukkha. This is the first target that we face and we overcome, the pain. So this pain, and we all know, people who have gone through it know exactly what I am going to explain. Pain, you observe. It's a tug of war. Some people need weeks, some people need months, some people need years. Okay. But we don't give up. You observe and observe and observe. And one type of experience is you observe the pain and you don't give up. You don't give up means your mind doesn't wander to any other thing. Your mind doesn't wonder about surrendering. Your mind doesn't change the object to relieve yourself from this pain, but consistently, persistently on the pain. It is killing you, but you don't give up. You don't redirect the mind with any other object, any other thoughts, still there. And it doesn't seem like it's a quiet moment. In other words, it's a very violent moment, turmoil moment, chaotic moment, but you are facing it. You're facing it, you're facing it. And while you are doing that, it seems like it is a very violent, dramatic, no stillness. But one thing is, as you do not shift your mind from the pain to any other object, and you are trying to be as deep as you can be into that pain, and you are trying to stick your mind to that pain, that is the continuous mindfulness, and that develops an enormous amount of high concentration, samadhi. Samadhi becomes really, really high. And some of the yogi, they even hear exploding loud noise, boom. And some people, they're watching, and out of the blue, everything become totally, the pain suddenly disappear from the universe of attention. There is no more pain. The pain suddenly disappear. Or there might be a loud noise. And then instantly right after that, nothing but peace, 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 quiet and calm, nothing else. That big loud noise is the experience that presented because of the concentration, the rupture. And right after that rupture, that peace and calm that set in, and the whole body and the whole mind is, there is no chaos, there is no violence, there is nothing except peace, 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 calm, calm, cool, cool. And that is tranquility. Some of the yogis already experience it, but this approach is through pain. And we use pain. Everybody is pushed to use pain. And that is the tranquility. That moment you come in. It might last a minute, it might last 5 minutes, it might even last 30 minutes. That is the tranquility followed by the rupture. And why does the rupture arise? Because your concentration is really strong. Why is it strong? Because you never lit up your mind away from the pain constantly. That is tranquility. Totally peace and calm, it goes in. In some of the yogis, it is not like as dramatic as I've said. Some of the yogis, you come in and they feel some little pleasant sensation and you just sink into the peaceful mode. Totally quiet and calm and peaceful. And some yogis, when they don't have the direction or the teacher, they even think that is Nibbana. Oh, I'm enlightened, I'm Nibbana. These kind of mistakes can happen, but it is so good. There is no wave, no vibration, no restlessness, so there is no agitation. That is tranquility followed after the rupture. That is how tranquility comes in. So in here, tranquility, what is the characteristics of tranquility? The characteristics of tranquility is coolness and calmness of the body and the mind, both the body and the mind. The body is also cool and calm, like nothing is moving, nothing is twitching, and the mind is also cool and calm. Even with the samadhi concentration, the mind is still not cool and calm. The mind is still restless. You're meditating, your concentration is pretty good, but in a certain moment, there might be a little twitch, or a little itch come in, and the mind goes there. That twitch and that itch. Sometimes there's an involuntary muscle twist. The mind goes in there. That is ripples on your mind. That is restlessness on the mind. And when you have tranquility, nothing as such, the body is totally sync, perfectly quiet and calm. The mind is totally, perfectly calm, cool and quiet. Quietude of the mind and the body. When I said mind, it's both Citta and Cetasika. Both Citta and Cetasika are totally calm and mind. So that is the how to identify whether you have tranquility or not. Passaddhi, total coolness calmness of mind, total quietness, not a single twitch, not a single itch, no nothing, no vibration. It has been said in an example that was used quite often. The Buddha was practicing for 6 years and eventually he got enlightened. After the enlightenment, this accomplishments of causes, they amount right to the top, and then it accomplishments of result. That result, when he experienced the result, you can say accomplishment of result, or you can say fruition or phala. Pali, what is phala? When he goes there, the Buddhists, if you read the scripture, Buddhists stay 49 days, in other words 7 weeks, 7 days, 7 times, around that Bodhi tree where he got enlightened. Each week he moved from one spot to the other and observed that accomplishment of result, that satisfaction he gets out of it, that fruition he gets out of it. He sit there and he observed without moving, without glitching. Okay. If your eyes are open, it is always open, it doesn't close. If your eyes are half open, it is always half open, not even a blinking of an eye. That kind of stillness, that kind of coolness and calmness, peace, that is from the rapture, from the accomplishments of result. The rapture comes in fruition or phala. He went into the state of phala jnana, and not moving for 7 days from each spot. And that is the great tranquility followed after the rapture that has been expressed in the scripture. So in here we are not at that level. Ours might be 5 minutes long or 30 minutes long. Or some yogis, they go for about 12, 13 hours recorded in the Mahasi tradition monastery. Some goes. Lunchtime come, they don't even want to move, they don't even want to get up. That is parana piti, pervasive piti, and followed by the tranquility. You don't even want to move, you don't want to be, you don't have any desire except peace, 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 bodily and mentally. That is the characteristics of passaddhi. And function, what does the passaddhi function as? It functions as, if I have to quote directly, the extraction or suppression of heat. If you want to call it modern way, is it takes out all the heats that produce from your brain wave. Okay. It extracts all the heat, or it suppresses all the heat that produce from the vibration of restlessness and remorse. Whenever there's a restlessness, there's a vibration. Whenever there's a vibration, there is heat. If you look at the 4 elements, they are always coexist together. Okay. When element vibration, heat, temperature, dissolve, and vayu, and patwi, they are all together. And as long as there's a vibration, it generates heat. And in here it is said that vibration is go to the lowest level or negligible. It does not produce heat from that vibration anymore. In other words, heat produced from the restlessness and remorse are totally taken care of. It totally extracted, totally suppressed. That is the function of passaddhi. This is the job that passaddhi or tranquility to do. No heat means there's no friction, no vibration. That's why it is totally calm and cool and peaceful. And what does this passaddhi or tranquility manifest as? It manifests as non-agitation. It manifests as non-agitation. Of course, at our level, whenever all these things are happening, whatever is happening in us, around us, from the environment, from other people, there's a friction. Whenever there's a friction, you have to resolve the friction. Some become quite irritated, agitated. Some people, I will look at it coolly and calmly, and you try to resolve it. But still, that process of resolving that situation, there is still a friction. Even though with the intelligence, you are keeping it cool and calm under control. You don't flip out like the other people. Still, you have a task to overcome. So there is an agitation. And if you have this tranquility, there's no agitation. Non-agitation is the manifestation of this tranquility, passaddhi. Go into that mode. So we know how to identify it. When you become calm and cool and peaceful, you have this tranquility. And the job of the tranquility is to extract heat from any physical or mental situation, anything produced by restlessness and remorse. And when you have that, it manifests into a state of non-agitation, continuously manifestation. And of course, in Buddhist, if you don't apply the fourth one, it is not complete understanding yet. The fourth one is, what is the cause? What is the proximate cause? Of course, the Buddha doesn't talk to us in details. He gives us the overall, the key point. The key point is what? Yoniso-manasikara, wise attention. Wise attention so that it won't produce irritation. Wise attention so that it won't produce heat or friction. Wise attention so that you won't have restlessness. Wise attention so that you won't have remorse. Wise attention. The Buddha just say wise attention. We expand it a little bit more. If you want to expand it even furthermore, wise attention so that you know how to do always the right thing, the wholesome thing. Wise attention so that you would not commit anything wrong or unwholesome thing. In other words, it comes right back to your life. Every day, everything you do, every decision you make, and every execution you are doing, to avoid anything that is hurtful, harmful, violent, and cruel, and to do everything who's loving, compassionate, kind, and helpful. It goes back down right to that. And if you live your life that way, automatically tranquility is just beside you. You already have prepared the ground. That is wise attention. That's why Buddha said wise attention, yoniso-manasikara, is the cause. Passaddhi, tranquility, is the effect. That's wise attention. Buddha doesn't sit down and talk for hours and hours in details. That's why our tradition is called Theravada Buddhism. Theravada, Thera is the elders, Vada is their presentation, okay? The presentation of the elders. When the Buddha said like that, wise attention, and of course his senior disciple, Sariputta, Moggallana, Mahakassapa, and so on. Because Buddha cannot sit down and talk with a big loudspeaker and stereo surround sound so that 1 million people can hear. He can hear about maybe 20, 30 of his senior disciples heard about it, or whoever is fortunate enough around there can hear it. And they go around and they teach to their students, and their students, their students, their students spread. And when they taught them, they expand, they elaborate, so that those people can understand. Because Sariputta has enough great intelligence to exactly understand what Buddha meant, but the lower junior monks don't have. So it is his duty to expand and to elaborate. That's how he taught. That's why our tradition, our Buddhist lineage is called Theravada, the presentation of our elders according to the Buddha's teaching, according to the intention or intent of the Buddha. That is how it's standard down. So over 2,500 years down the line, many great monks have rise and passed away. And whenever these kind of great monks come in, they touch a certain division, a section of Buddhist teaching, and they expand furthermore, In Sri Lanka, they expand furthermore, based on the culture and tradition of Sri Lanka, so that Sri Lanka can understand. In Burma, the Burmese Thera senior monks expand and explain, so that according to the Burmese culture and tradition, the thinking process can understand what the Buddhas meant. And so it's the same in Thailand or Cambodia or Laos. That is Theravada. But not everybody. Every century, 1 or 2 or 3 great monks appears, and their teachings remains. Their explanation of the Buddha's teaching remains. And even this has been critiqued by the Buddhist Council. A whole great learned monks critique. And then some are discarded and some are accepted, and whatever that is accepted is called sub-commentary or sub-commentary, and it has become a part of the scripture. It only comes from the great monks, 1 or 2 that arises in a century. That is how our tradition, and that's how we learn, and that's how we understood the Buddha's teaching. So to go back to the main topic, the Buddha said, Yoniso Manasikara, that is the proximate cause of tranquility. And down the line, all these great senior monks expanded a little furthermore for us to actually do. In other words, they put down a system for us to do a certain thing. That's why you will see sometime 3 points, 5 points, 7 points, 8 points, 9 points, 11 points, all the points for each to follow. Okay, in Rapture, altogether there are 11 causes that support and can produce rapture. So it's the same in tranquility. There are 7 points expanded under this Yoniso Manasikara. It is so simple, but when you lay down as a formula, it's very easy for us to follow if we want to produce a certain mental state. The first one, you'll be surprised. Food, the right food that you eat, the right food. You don't eat gaseous food, you don't eat spicy food, you don't eat fat food. Of course, I'm talking with the modern nutritional science. Basically, those are the kind of things. You don't eat those kind of food that can make you sleepy. You don't eat that means that you have to go to the washroom a lot. You don't eat that food that can give you a lot of gas going out every hour and so on. Because these are the interruption. So one must eat a suitable food, nutritious food, and appropriate for each person. That's the first. And also must be able to include a certain flavor that satisfies each of you. Some, they love to have that little bit of a sour taste. Some, they love to have a little bit of sweet taste. Some, they love to have a little bit of bitter taste. That flavor included in your food. Flavor. But the rest is nutritious food. That is number one, the cause, proximate cause of the tranquility. And second, it's laid down as the climate. The climate is basically temperature. Right now, maybe some of you, maybe all of you, you can feel the heat generating in you because the temperature is a lot higher than normal. The temperature is a lot higher than your body temperature. So there is a little of heat wave coming out of your body because when it is hot outside, the body tries to cool it down by producing sweat. That kind of reaction is going on, and because of that, I can actually feel buzzing on my skin. I can feel the stickiness on my skin at this moment. I can feel it on my face. That is not in alignment with tranquility. So the climate, temperature, pressure, humidity, that also is important. That could produce tranquility. Food, climate, temperature, pressure, humidity must be perfect, or to speak, it should be supportable to tranquility, if not perfect. 1, 2, 3. Number 3, the posture. For that posture, you must have the right posture. Because each of us, let's say you are doing the walking meditation, there's a lot of movement. I don't think it will be suitable for tranquility. Okay, maybe sitting meditation, but even in the sitting there are so many posture of your leg position, one leg in front or half lotus or full lotus, depending on your training and depending on your flexibility of your body. And also lying down. Will that lying down make you go into sleep or still keep you alert? These are the things. So, food, climate, posture, number 3. And number 4. Number 4 is one must maintain. One must maintain. Overzealousness or over enthusiasm. Maintain me. If you are practicing and if you become overzealous, if you become over enthusiastic, which means you want to achieve this really fast, you want to attain this fast. As soon as you have that kind of I want. You are not there anymore. What happened? As soon as you want, you created a mental state of restlessness in your brain or in your mind. There's a restlessness coming in. That over-enthusiasm, that overzealousness, that little tidbit of noble desire, even the noble desire, wanting a little more than normal, but not that at the beginning setting up as a post, but right at that moment. That little overzealousness, enthusiasm come in, restlessness create, tranquility is goodbye. And also another thing is, we won't call it laziness or sloth or torpor. That is very heavy. Shrunken mind, weakened mind, lazy, that is heavier part. That's for the juniors, below the juniors. This one is, you are doing it, you are meditating it, but you are doing it superficially. You are doing it very sloppy, not with precision. Okay? Superficial, sloppy, and as soon as you go in, that is below what is required. Okay? As soon as you go sloppiness and superficialness, you are undershooting what is required. As soon as you become overzealous and enthusiastic, you are overshooting it. And we are supposed to be right at that middle point, perfect middle point. If you don't reach that perfect middle point, you cannot have tranquility. So those two mental states must be always adjusting and balancing. Overzealous, I need to cool down, and you pull back. And then you become a little sloppy, I need to put a little more effort so that the mind will slip away. That is number 4 suggestion. Number 5. Number 5 is, not only while you're sitting down in here, these elders give us every environmental condition as well. You live with a group of people, you associate with a group of people, because you are not alone. Even while you are meditating, you are with co-meditators, co-monks, co-yogis. They are there. And the environment and the support group, volunteers, cooks, and the villagers, there's always something. Humans are social animals. That's what the Western says. In a way it is. We have to be interdependent with others. Here, it indicates our connection to others, which means these people make sure they are not hot-tempered, they are not short-tempered, they are not vulgar, okay? They are not agitated. Okay? Some people you know in your office or wherever, some are always agitating you, trying to poke here, trying to take there. You must avoid these kind of people in your environment. Because if you are having a connection with them all the time, agitation is always there, it is hard to achieve. That's one. That's number 5. Number 6 is, one must associate with cool, calm, composed people. There are some people you go there and you just simply automatically you become cool and calm and composed because that is their nature. And if you happen to be around them, you also begin to follow that. That's number 6. And number 7, one must incline, always incline your mind towards tranquility, cool, calm, and peaceful. You have to have a conscious inclination. The mind is inclined towards it. Only when the mind is inclined towards it, the mind will go in that direction, take that mental state. So there are 7 points, okay, laid down by our elders. The Buddha said, Yoniso Manasikara. And these are the ones that can be expanded under that one line. So that's how one can achieve tranquility. So may all of you be able to practice Satipatthana Vipassana meditation precisely and correctly, and may you be able to enter into this tranquil state, passaddhi, in a very short period at will, as soon as possible. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Buddham Pujami. Dhammam Pujami. Sangham Pujami.